Thank you all for coming. What a beautiful day in the bluegrass. Mr. Peck, ready for the inspiration? The pledge, four-way test, and inspiration, Mr. Chris Peck.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I guess we can start with the inspiration. As Rotarians, we're tasked with exhibiting core values such as integrity, service, fellowship, diversity, and leadership. A lot of those things are encompassed with our coach today and what he's going to talk about. For me today, I just want to impress upon you that we use our time and our individual skills to provide service to others that are less fortunate throughout this community, to helping them be self-sustaining, happy, and successful, and to feel valued by us and our community. May we continue to grow as a club in our membership and influence so that as we stand as a symbol to all those in the community, that we're willing to freely serve them in any capacity that makes them be successful. So, let's help make our region and our community a better place to live. Let's pray. You've blessed us so much with all of our own special talents, time, and treasure. Give us the strength and compassion and even those opportunities to serve others less fortunate than us. Most importantly, thank you for loving us. We love you. Amen. All right, let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test. Through to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
All right, introduction of guests. Jeff Moret.
Welcome, guests. Even though I was listening to 6'2" in the program, I'm on 6'2". We have a lot of guests today. First, we want to welcome Trayvon Riken. He is a current University of Kentucky football player. His host is Chris. Welcome Angela Coleman, who's a guest of Chris Anderson. Angela, welcome. Welcome Ken Brooks, who is a guest of Eric. Also want to get Susan Lax, who is a guest as well. Thank you. David Brian Blondell, welcome. Kimberly Hammond, who's a guest of Jen. And then Jerron Johns, who's also a guest of Jenny Schnur. And then finally, welcome Michael Thompson. Michael.
Thank you, Jeff. The lottery. I'm going to draw two numbers. Thank you, Gordon. What's the total today? 1550. The first number, last four digits, 8359. 8359. 1555. Hey, we got one. Next number, in the event we need that, 8257. 8257. And we're looking for ace of clubs. No dice there, Chris. Thanks for playing. Here we go. Oh, real close. Thanks for playing. Thank you, Gordon. Celebrating birthdays this week. Sim Oituo, Sean Lyons, and Harding Dallaire. Happy birthday. We've got announcements coming up, and we're going to first do our raffle lottery. And Peggy, if you will, we got a last-minute surge for this fundraiser for Town Branch, I guess, Gatton Park. And we are going to be pulling first for the Knob Creek bottle of bourbon. And I reached my hand and I have Susie Basham. Now this one's really exciting. Picnic with the Pops. You get a table and catering by Dupree Catering, valued at $750. Picnic at the Pops. The name is Kim Johnson. And last, vacation package, either at the both, is it both vacations? So, and Antigua and Panama. And the winner of this is Rod Hartzler. Hartzler. Hey, Rod. Hey! Congratulations to all. We've got a community service opportunity. Alicia.
August 21st is your hashtag Rotary Different. It's from 12 to 3:30. It includes lunch and treat. So you got at least 12 people. There's 15 spots. We can sleep. I need a name and phone numbers, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So we're going to do a KET, doing Rotary Different. We're going to volunteer 3.5 hours of our time to do a phone-a-thon with Michelle. I need 12 volunteers. I have the paper. I need signups this week and next week at the latest. Let's get this done for Michelle, please. Yay. Oh, and for all of those that are making fun of me with my exes, I'm going to blame that on Chris Peck. He took me clubbing last night. That is not true. I have a little sister and she went to see a YouTuber in Nashville. So we went last night and I got home at 2. So I'm sure I look a little raw. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alicia, and appreciate what you do at KET, Michelle. Next, we have the Pollinator Garden crew. Are we coming up to speak, or am I just noting to save the date? We have a party at the Pollinator Garden tour. We'll be speaking on the 22nd, and it's the Pollinator Garden. If you haven't been, it's a Rotary project to improve the pollinator, the wildlife for pollinators in our area. And there's some more information at your table if you'd like to learn more. All right, we've got an introduction of some new Rotarians. One of my favorite aspects of our announcements. So Dylan Harper, will you please come up? And Wynn Stevens. And your newest member, Yuki, please come to the podium. Wynn, why don't you go first, since you're here?
All right. It is my pleasure to welcome to our Rotary Club, Chris Henry. Chris is with Field and Main Bank. He's previously also been with Whitaker and Republic Bank. He and his wife, Jessica, have 4 awesome children. They make their home in Lexington, and Chris is going to be a tremendous new addition to our club. Please join me in welcoming him.
Welcome, Chris. Dylan?
Fellow Rotarians, today I have the honor of introducing Yuki Cooper as a new Rotarian and a yearling to the Rotary Club of Lexington. It's not every day that we welcome into Rotary someone who just gets it from day one. A handful of us met Yuki while tabling at a Women Leading Kentucky event a few months ago. All the work doing throughout the world. Yuki reached out to us a few days after we met, and having researched Rotary International with the interest of becoming a Rotarian. And when Peggy, Sean, and I met with Yuki, the Rotary office to provide more information about Rotary. Yuki passionately explained that she had noticed a common air about the people that she met in Rotary. She said that we all had a certain spark in our eye and an infectious energy for doing good in the community and in the world. And she said that these were people that she wanted to be around and the organization she wanted to be a part of. Yuki brings to us a unique perspective and background to the club, as well as a long list of civic involvement and accolades. Yuki was born in Osaka, Japan, and has traveled the U.S. and the world for work. She has been with Gray Construction for over 20 years and is currently serving as the manager of economic development for the firm. And as I mentioned, she's got a long list of civic involvement and accolades. Yuki served as an executive board member and marketing committee chair for the Japan American Society of Kentucky. She graduated from the Leadership Kentucky class of 2021, and she was recognized as a Kentucky Colonel in 2021. She also taught a lot of classes at Junior Achievement Bluegrass and was named Junior Achievement Miss Business. I'm thrilled to welcome Yuki Cooper as a new Rotarian, and I'm excited to see the work she will do in the name of Rotary.
Welcome, Yuki. With that, we are ready to introduce our guest speaker today. I'm going to welcome back Chris Peck. He was our cashier. He provided inspiration, and now the introduction. Chris Peck.
And I was out in the club till 2 with Alicia, which 10 years ago would not been much of a stretch. I have the pleasure of introducing Coach White. I want to say something about Trayvon, too. He's been my intern this past year. Trayvon is number 90 on the defense, so please root for him this year. He's become like family to me this year. Yeah. And I know Coach has been there for him through some very difficult times, so thank you, Coach, for doing that. The most important thing I can say about Coach is that he is a husband to his wife, Kate. They have 4 children, Julia, Lincoln, Hudson, and Lydia, which is the name of my youngest daughter. After spending, he came to us in 2018 after spending 6 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. Since White's first season in Lexington, they've steadily become one of the top defenses in the SEC. I know we're all aware of that. They're coming off their best rush defense in 2023, holding opponents to 113 yards, which ranks second in the conference and 17th in the nation. In fact, the Cats, each of their first 5 opponents did not reach 100 yards. That's pretty impressive. He's a native of Portsmouth, Rhode Island. White joined the Colts after spending 2 seasons as inside linebackers coach at Air Force Academy. Prior to coaching at Air Force, White coached at Murray State under Coach Hood. Many of us know him. And then at his alma mater, Wake Forest University, also with Coach Hood, where he played. At Wake, he started linebacker and was a 3-time academic All-Atlantic Coast Conference selection. So we all appreciate Coach White and what he's done. I told him I was going to get up here and just go on and on about how I never wanted him to leave. And that's the truth, because our defense has never been so good in all my years of being a fan. So, Coach White, please come to stage.
Well, I appreciate that. And first off, I just really want to thank the Rotary Club of Lexington to give me this opportunity to speak to you and all the good work that's done. I was speaking to some before this event got started. And from a coaching perspective, I know so many people, fans, they look out there and they see 11 guys and they're wearing the UK helmet, but all they see is just see the football player. And for us, and for me as specifically as a coach, I get way more pleasure watching guys like Trey when the way they come in as a freshman and then where they leave as a senior, and how they come in as a young man. For some of them, they come in as boys and then they leave as men and they're ready to contribute to society. And it takes a village, and it takes people pouring in, and it takes the Boys and Girls Club when they're younger, and to watch them get back involved in the community. Those are the moments for me that are the most precious. And that's what I remember. And I try to instill into those players that, hey, listen, no matter how tough that loss is, and you're walking out of the tunnel those boys and those girls that are yelling and screaming, "Hey, can I get your gloves? Can I get your autograph?" In a week, they won't even remember what the score of the game was, but they will be impacted if you put aside that hurt that you're feeling in that moment, elevate yourself, and you take the time to sign that autograph or take that picture, and you force a smile on your face, because that will be on their wall for the next 6 years, 10 years. They may keep it all the way. They may always be in their Kentucky wall in the basement. So again, thank you so much for everything you do. I know on behalf of Coach Stoops, we're really excited about this season. And it's that time right now. We call it, in the coaching profession, the talking season. We start next year. Report date is Tuesday. First practice is next Wednesday. It's the earliest we've ever been able to start. We actually start July 31st, the first time ever we've been able to start in July. But we have the early kickoff, August 31st this year. We don't have to wait all the way until the back end of the first week of September. But we need all those days. I'll tell you that. Like this, as a coach, you can never have enough practices. We'll have 25 of them. We're really excited about, obviously, we've got Bush Hamden came in as the new offensive coordinator. I know a lot of questions will be asked there. All I know is from a defensive perspective, it is really hard to match up against his style in practice. And if you can, and listen, if you stress our guys on defense, because I think that our coaching staff has done such a good job of developing our defense, and they've been in it for so long, and we'll talk about the defense here in a sec. If you're stressing older veteran players like that, it means your system's a good system. And so I think you're really going to be excited about the offense performance. It's been fun this summer. We're able to be with our players more than ever in the summer. The NCAA has loosened rules. And so in 7-on-7, you've watched Brock Vandergriff progress through the summer. From this week might have been the best I've ever seen him throw the football. And he's thrown it well. He threw it well in spring, but he is right now sort of at a different level, which is exciting to see. So offensive line wise, we get to return several starters off of last year's group. We return 2 local, and Eli Cox at center and Jagger Burton at guard. We return Marcus Cox at left tackle. And then you've got some battles on the other side, on that right side, and brought in a couple of transfer players, from within the conference, a tackle from Tennessee and Gerald Mincy, a guard, Jalen Farmer from Florida, that have offered really good competition and should really sort of push that offensive line play forward. I know that there's a history here in the Big Blue Wall, and we take that really seriously. Obviously, a lot in this room know John Schlarman or knew John. And we take every time we walk in that building, every time we walk past the stadium and you see his face, you go in the indoor and we have it in the indoor. You understand the pride that we carry with us. And we've got Coach Wolford, Eric Wolford, back from Alabama. And he understands sort of the assignment going forward with that. We had a changeover also at wide receiver coach to Keel Shorts, young, energetic, the wideouts, exciting group, obviously, with Dane Key and Barry Brown back, Anthony Brown, you add in Jamori Macklin, from a transfer side, Fred Ferrier, who's, grew up here in Kentucky. So that group is as experienced and dynamic as we've had at wideout since I've been here. I've been here 6 years. Coach obviously is going on year 12. We're the most tenured SEC staff right now in the conference. And I've been lucky to be a part of those 6 years going on 7. And this group right here as a unit is talented. And you throw in a true freshman in Hardly Gilmore. I know there was a lot of talk about him in spring. He's going to be a really good one for years to come too. You go to tight ends. We've got a really deep group of tight ends, experience there. With Dingle and Caddis, and Kamari Anderson, who played as a true freshman last year. It's the biggest, fastest team that we've had since we've been here. If you look at the numbers, the weight number, I was talking with Trey for, we're sort of in our final week of prep. So we're doing our max out for speeds and strength and power output, and guys are breaking their personal power records, speed records, but they're doing it at higher weights, which, you hope translate, but we all know this conference didn't get any easier bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. So the idea is, hey, listen, our guys understand that just because they pushed it a notch doesn't mean that automatically that just equates. Hey, great seasons rely on a couple of big things. One, you have to stay healthy, especially in this league. And that's what Texas and Oklahoma are going to find out. It's not just a singular matchup. Hey, I beat this team. When you come in the SEC, it's the physicality, it's the speed, week in and week out. You have to do it over and over and over and sustain that, and you have to be able to have some depth to be able to sustain that throughout. And I think this is arguably one of the deeper teams that we've ever had. I know, especially defense when we hit that. So from a tight end, from an O-line, quarterback, running back perspective, obviously, listen, I walked in and I had Benny Snell my first year, and then I had Chris Rodriguez, and then everybody said, well, you're never going to get those guys again. And then here comes Ray Davis, right? And then Ray does amazing things, sets records. And so then it's like, okay, it can't happen. You can't get it again. But Chip Trainum, we've got Demi here. We have a young freshman in Jason Patterson. We've got a group that maybe singularly aren't going to be just what those other guys are, but I think collectively as a group will put up the numbers and can be just as strong as we have been in the past. And like anything else, when everybody says, oh, you're going to have a fall off, nobody knew about Chris Rodriguez until Chris Rodriguez touched the football. Nobody knew about, and I'm going to Ty Bryant, until he starts as a true freshman against Tennessee. Until they're thrust into that environment, you never know exactly what you have. So I think from a depth standpoint, we've got that, and I think at running back, again, a little bit more by committee. Special teams wise, we return arguably the best field goal kicker. Alex Rayner was lights out for us last year. And to get him back and to realize those points change games. When you can count on, when he comes out, you're like, all right, this field goal is going through. You feel good on defense. You're like, you're not calling the defense up. Hey guys, if this thing misses, we're going back out here. I think special teams wise as a whole, I think we were much improved last year. Obviously, Barryon, anytime he touches the ball, whether it's a kick or a punt return, we all collectively hold our breath because you just never know. And we believe he's the best returner in the country. And he's shown that time and time again. Defensively, might be, and turn off your ears, Trey. You might have to step out. This might, and it's a big might, because until the game's played, everything's on paper. This could be arguably the best defense since I've been here. We have got the ability to be really talented. To think that we've returned everybody on the defensive line. We had since I've been here, it was the most sacks and the most tackles for loss, and it was the best rush defense in the last 6 years. And we returned that front. We returned the inside linebackers, other than Trevin, who got drafted in the 3rd round of the Carolina Panthers. But we bring in Pop Johnson, who 2 years ago was a Butt Kiss Award finalist. So you feel like we've got a great 2 deep at linebacker. You return everybody on the D line. JJ Weaver returns. Now we have to find, who's going to be that guy behind JJ, because he can't play every snap. But we've got enough young guys that we'll see that one person doesn't have to take the full workload. And I think when we get to talk about corner, that's an important piece for people to understand. Like, one person doesn't have to do it all. We've finally got a roster of young men that have been grown up through the system that, hey, listen, if they take 33% of the snaps and someone else takes 33% and another one takes 33, one person doesn't have to take 100%. You don't have to have Josh Allen Hines Allen at every position. So you move to the back end, and that's just where I get all the questions. It's where I get all the questions. The back end will be just fine if Trey keeps sacking the quarterback. So if we're getting beat in the past, go talk to Trey. That's it. But truly, everything works together. If we have a great pass rush, it takes relief off of the secondary. If the secondary can be a little bit stickier, it gives those guys up front a one extra click to get to the quarterback. Because there were times last year we were right there. And those are the moments that stick with you as a coach. I know they stick with you as fans. It's those what if moments. But they're going to happen in sports. They're going to happen in life. We try to tell our guys all the time, hey, listen, yeah, we can go back to the film and say, man, if I just made that play, but you can't change it. What you can do is you can learn from it. And now the next time you get that opportunity, hey, what can I do different to finish that play? And that's what guys that have been in the system like Trey, who's going into his 5th year here, they've played enough plays and enough reps to understand, how do I make those game-changing plays when they arise? That's what veterans provide you. Now, do we have some really talented youth? Absolutely. Of our top 20 fastest guys on the team, almost half are true freshmen. Like, came in as true freshmen, and they're in that echelon in terms of miles per hour, what they run. But they don't have those bank reps that the veterans have. And we've got that on defense. We've got banked reps. You talk about the safety position. And we think about it as I look at it, we have 4 starters. We have 4 guys that have started multiple SEC games. And so then it's going to be my job to make sure, hey, listen, they are all getting on the field because they can all make plays. And there's more than enough plays to go around. And when you have Ty Bryant and Jordan Lovett and Zion Childress and then Christian Story, who came over from Alabama, it gives us a lot of ability to be flexible, and we can match up against some different things that maybe we couldn't have in the past. And then you get out to corner, and I think that's where everybody always gives me the question. Obviously, everybody knows about Max. But see, what people forget about Max is 2 years ago, Max played essentially in one game in the regular season. He played one play against Vanderbilt. And he got thrown in there as a redshirt freshman against Vanderbilt on 4th and 15. And there's a little bit of tug offense, but he got beat on the 4th and 15 that they eventually score on and they win with 17 seconds left in the game. And he had to absorb that moment all offseason. But then he came in the last year as a starter. And in his first game against Ball State, the first 2 series, nobody ever knows about. probably the worst 2 series you could play as a corner, but like cut guys free, didn't like his eyes because it's a big moment. But then he settled down and he became the top corner in the SEC. 5 picks, 2 pick sixes, and now he's preseason all first team all SEC, arguably the top corner returning in the conference. Well, nobody would have known about that going into last year, especially if you watched the first 2 drives of last year. Well, now we've got that opposite him. Now we've got young men like Jansen Dunn and J.Q. Hardaway and Nasir Addison and DJ Waller, who transferred in from Michigan. One of those guys are going to find their footing and become the next one. And are they going to have some bad plays? Yeah, they are. But that's life, and we live with it. So overall, really excited about what this defense can be. Really excited about what this season can be. I mean, you think about nobody did us any favors in terms of our road schedule. Now we got 8 home games, which is awesome for everybody, But when you go on the road at the Swamp, at Tennessee, at Ole Miss, right, and at Texas, like there's no easy games there, especially in those environments. But where we really have to anchor in this year is when you get 8 home games, we have to protect our house. We have not done a good enough job of that, over maybe probably the last 2 years. It used to, like my first 4 years here, we did a really good job protecting the house. Last 2 years, we've given some games away, and we have to do better as a staff, as players. But we also have those scars that we can look to, and we can look down and be like, I remember that. And when we're in that defensive huddle and everybody sees us sort of huddled up and we're talking, those are those moments that we're talking about. Hey, guys, remember a couple years ago. Draw on that experience and let's go. And so excited about that. What I'm going to do, I think we have about 13 minutes or so. I'm going to open it up to questions. And so feel free. Anything you've got, offense, defense, special teams, recruiting, anything.
How is NIL affected?
That's the only question I heard. That's the only one I'm going to have to defer on. Obviously that is sort of changed the landscape of college athletics. It has. And there's a lot that goes into that. And, so not to overstep, I'll pass those questions. I'll go through Coach Stoops. And we'll work this way.
Brady, you talk about those over-experienced players that you have. What's their responsibility in teaching the freshmen, the incoming guys? So it's not just the coaches that do that.
That's a great question. And those are the teams that are the best teams. The ones where the seniors grab the young guys and say, this is our standard. And this is how we're going to practice. This is how we go about weightlifting. This is about how we attend class. It's not, oh my, that guy is looking to take my job. The ones that look with that kind of sort of anxiety, the team is going to be split and divided. I've been so pleased with our senior leadership, our junior leadership, how quickly, as soon as they come in, a lot of times now in the new age, we get a lot of our freshmen mid-year, and then so they can go through spring ball, and how quickly they bring them under their wing and incorporate and say, hey, listen, you're our teammate. I will do anything for you. I'll teach you. And you know what? If you learn and you're better than me, then you deserve that spot. But I think our seniors take great pride in understanding that, hey, that having that chip on your shoulder of, hey, listen, I've got somebody hunting me, it drives them forward. It makes everybody better. Competition makes everybody better. Complacency is when you fall back. And I've found over my 6 years here, whenever we don't have a true natural 2 deep, if there's a position that doesn't have a true 2 pushing that 1, that position never outperforms. I've never seen that position outperform, because without that, it's hard. You're 18 to 22 years old to have the intrinsic just push. If nobody's pushing you, it's easy to take your foot off the gas. It's easy if somebody's telling you, hey, man, you're the guy. Even if you do right, do wrong, doesn't matter. The coach ain't going to pull you out of the game because there's nobody even close to second best, so they're going to leave you. But when you have somebody that, hey, listen, if I'm not doing it right, coach has no issues about saying, you come stand next to me, this one's going, I think it drives everybody. The depth on both sides. Yeah, so obviously, from a defense, like you talk about, you start up front and you've got Trey and Ox up front. You talk about you have a guy, you have Dion and Khalil, you have Keyshawn Silver. The nose position is the one that, hey, we might have to rotate, some guys in. But we also have guys that are big enough that, again, Dion could bump down and Khalil could play the boundary. Trey and Ox could play either side. Dion could bump down. Keyshawn could play. We've got guys that are old enough and in that room that we can play across the three-man front, and we feel like we're 2-3 deep. And then you throw in a young freshman like Gerard Smith who can play on edges. So we feel really good there. We talked about the inside backer play, with at that Mike position, and you've got guys like Pop and David Rayner, who have played multiple SEC games. You've got De'Aaron Jackson, and Alex Safari is a guy that can play inside, and sort of in that apex if we needed him. So feel really good about that position. We talked about the safety, at corner, we talked about a guy like Max, but then we listed that 5 guys. All those guys could get in the game. So even if Max needed a breather, you can go with Jansen and JQ and Nasir and DJ Waller. So you've got guys that can go and have played in games. So defensively, you can see where we are depth wise. Offensively, the same way. Now I think offensive line wise, they're going to develop more of that throughout sort of camp, because they're obviously, when you go through spring ball, a lot of times there are guys that have off-season surgery that maybe they didn't have those spring ball reps, but they are now coming. They've been fully cleared. They've gone through summer. So you feel good about that. And some of the young guys that we've brought in, I think are going to push and challenge some guys as well. Oh, special teams in terms of depth, or just who? Here's the thing on special teams. I think obviously if you look at it, last year our kicking units, again, that was the best we've done on field goal in a long time. And I know in 22, trust me, we were all there. I'm not saying anything that's sort of out of. We all kind of collectively held our breath. There was a fair amount of tips, blocks, on field goals, extra points. I thought last year, bringing Coach Bullware in, I mean, we were unbelievable there. I thought our punting last year was sort of much improved from 22. And we've got really good competition, in terms of, we just brought in a transfer punter who was the FCS, especially punter of the year. So him and Wilson Berry, will be able to compete and make each other better. I talked about the speed aspect of our team. I think our coverage units will be so much improved because we're a bigger, faster football team. We'll be able to cover down the field. I know we all at times, kick off if it wasn't kicked through the end zone. Everybody kind of holds their breath a little bit. I think we'll be better in the coverage units. We also brought in a true freshman kicker who will be able to put them deep and out of the back of the end zone on a far more frequent basis as well. Well, Southern Miss, it's the next one. See, I've been doing this a couple. Yeah, I mean, I think there are games, not necessarily for the team, but if there's a personal circle, there are things for me that there are teams that you're like, okay, you know, I need to do better. I need to unlock the code, to not just from a scheme standpoint, but to make sure the guys, you know, play up to their level and execute to the level that we want to. And obviously we all dislike, our border state to the south. Like that is what it is. Just like the school of the West, that will always be, important to us. So those games, when you talk about rivalry games, yeah, but it doesn't matter if you don't handle your business as it lays out. And you got to handle your season opener against Southern Miss, night game, a lot of excitement, all the emotions. But then you jump right into an SEC, and usually it's, hey, you do one SEC game. It for us, it's tended to been Florida, and it's been on the road early, and we've been able to win those. But now it's, hey, listen, you got a home game against South Carolina, a home game against Georgia, then you play Ohio, and then you're on the road to Ole Miss, and that's like the first part of your season before you hit your first bye. And because we're going 5 games by 4 games by 3 games. So if you break it up into thirds between the buys, like that first third is important to get you off and running. If you're playing catch up, if you're playing from behind, it's hard to mentally to dig out of it. So if we can get ourselves off to a good start, and so obviously Southern Miss, but then South Carolina is such a pivotal game to get you started off right foot in the conference, keep the momentum going. Then obviously a big one against a power that's sort of run this conference the last couple of years. And we've historically played well defensively against them. Last year, things got away from us. We had a chance to sort of, we call it, and this is DAM, sort of damn moments, right? Where, hey, listen, when you go on the road in an SEC stadium, there's going to be a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of the crowd's going to be in it, and things can start well for the home team. Think about us against Missouri last year. Things start really well. It looks like it could just be a runaway. But if you can have one moment to sort of stem the tide, then that game just resets. And we had that moment in the Georgia game, and then we get a penalty on third down after the incomplete pass that gave them the drive. They got to reset the drive, and then they go down and it's 21-0 instead of they're punting from their own end zone with it 14-0, and our offense already had a couple of good drives. You think about if they punt it, we go down and we score, and it's 14-7, that could be a whole different ball game. But you have to build that dam when you're on the road. And so those moments are important, and we have got to take advantage of those, when they present themselves. And I think that's the challenge these days. Offenses are so good that, with the sort of the elevation of back shoulder throws, and then the heightened frequency of pass interference. There is no great way to always play a football. because if you play through the high shoulder and he back shoulders it, then we got one of those against, Georgia last year, and you played over high. If you play too shallow on it because you're playing for the back shoulder, they can throw it out in front. If they throw it behind, the QB can throw a terrible ball and it's way underthrown. If you're going against a guy that's running 4.4 and you're sprinting everything you've got and the ball's underthrown and he stops, you can't see it, then you tend to grab them and they throw it for an underthrown ball. Like there's nothing harder than playing defensive back. And, from a height standpoint, we're actually, most of our corners, are 5'11" plus. That's how we recruited. The average NFL corner, is a couple years ago was 5'10.5". It's not like we're deficient in that. I think a lot of people, it's just wide receivers have become like giants. Like they're 6'3", 6'4", and you're like, would you like to play defensive end? No, I'm a receiver, coach. You're like, why? No, you're not. You're LeBron James. But that's a little bit of the reality of it. And but yeah, it's something, obviously, I think we've got the ability to play a little bit sticky. I know people at times, if there is a criticism of our defense, it's very shellish, right? We play with people in front of us, we rally, we tackle, we create turnovers. But I think we have the ability to get a little bit more sticky at times this year. But with that, you just have to understand that those pass interferences might go up because you're in a little bit more man-on-man confrontation. When you're in man coverage, you can't track the football as if you were in zone and you were deep and you can read the quarterback and you can make a play on the ball. So people have to understand there's give and take to both sides of that.
Brad White, thank you very much. As a token of our appreciation for you attending, this is a beautiful lithograph from our very own Bill Strauss. Good luck this season. We'll see you next week. Bill Wilson will be running the meeting next week. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.